So you probably got your vision board. You have a morning routine for journaling, for scripting, for visualizing, and it feels like you're doing everything right, everything that the manifestation gurus are telling you to do. And yet something's just not quite working for you. You might be wondering why it seems to work for certain people. Like, there's a lot of people on YouTube that teach manifestation, and you're wondering why it works for some people, but it's not really working for you. And I felt exactly the same way. And what I discovered changed everything about the way I live, the way I work, and the way that actually I understand manifestation to actually be. Because it's not what they teach you, not quite. What they teach you is correct, but there's a little bit of an incomplete part. There's something that is missing when these manifestation gurus are teaching you about this subject. So by the end of this video, you are going to see manifestation as something completely and utterly differently. And I promise it's not going to be one more thing, like another thing to do on your to-do list in the morning for your morning routine. I won't have you adding on something else. So, manifestation culture is sold to us as acquisition. It's things that we want, that dream house, the dream car, the soulmate, the business, the cash. And this is what we're sold. We're sold to it as something that we should want and that we should need. And we should acquire, like acquisition, right? But we spend a lot of energy pulling those things towards us, and we end up wanting more, wanting harder, visualizing more deeply. Like the Neville Goddard people say, you've got to really put the emotion into what you're feeling so that you can literally just, desire that and attract it. And I can't knock any of that at all. This is all completely true. But you can't sustainably manifest a life that doesn't match who you actually are. The block was never your technique. It was never your belief or your consistency. Like, I should have done this and I should have done that. It wasn't actually that at the end of the day. The block was actually your identity. And by identity, I mean those deep beliefs that you hold about who you are, who you're allowed to be, what you're allowed to have, and what you're actually worthy of as well. Not what you think consciously, but what you truly believe underneath it all. So if you grew up watching your parents struggle with money, your identity around wealth might say that people like us don't have that kind of money. So no matter how many times you write $10,000 in your journal, your like inner identity can't quite hold that yet. So a few years ago, I was in corporate marketing. It was a really, really good career. And I was a person that stayed later than everybody else. I took my laptop home. I agreed to deadlines that were really, really quite impossible. And it was because I didn't know how to say no, that it's not achievable, and that I didn't really even allow myself to have any boundaries, with my peers or my leaders. And I was working harder than most people around me. And it wasn't because I had to, it wasn't because I was pressured to, it was because I thought that this is how you prove that you were worth promoting, that you were worth giving a pay rise to by putting in the work. And I remember a colleague saying to me once, you can only do what you can do. And I heard it and I got it. And I thought that it was actually really, really wise, but I didn't believe it at that moment. And I couldn't, because somewhere underneath all of this pushing and proving is something that I realized later on, that I didn't trust that just being me was ever going to be enough. And looking back, I wasn't manifesting from desire, I was manifesting from fear. This deep need to prove that I was enough, and that it is exactly what kept me from showing up, from and I basically ended up proving, pushing, and because of that, I was exhausted, right? I'm sure that you've had a similar situation in your life as well. But the turning point in my life came when I discovered the human design system about 5 years ago. And it gave me the thing that my colleagues' words couldn't quite teach me at the time. And it wasn't just the idea that I could only do what I could do, but it was proof, like human design gave me proof of why that was correct. It was evidence of how I was designed to work, how my energy actually moves, how I was, supposed to connect with people, and what I was actually built for, and also what I was not built for and who I was not as well. And what human design showed me was that almost everything that I believed about myself, how hard I needed to work, how visible I needed to be, how much I just needed to prove to everybody. Human design showed me that it was all conditioning. It wasn't me. It was an identity that I had inherited. And I spent years trying to manifest from that inherited, conditioned identity. So, human design doesn't just tell you who you are, it shows you who you have been pretending to be. When I really started embodying my human design into the way that I live, the way that I work, everything started shifting for me. I started coming into my own true self, my own identity. I didn't work more, I worked an awful lot less, in fact, and the right clients started finding me. The invitations came because I, leaned back and just let them come because I stopped chasing the money, the clients and everything. And because I stopped blocking everything about myself that, was real, I stopped having this distorted energy that I was putting out into the world because I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. So now I actually earn 4 times more than I ever did in my corporate career, but I work 50% less. And it really is quite insane because actually this is something that manifestation teachers do teach you, is to be disconnected from the output, to put your mind into it and put your desire and energy into it, but also disconnect. And that is really confusing messaging. It certainly was for me. It was like, well, how do I really desire something, but I need to pull back and away from it? And actually, human design really helped me to understand how to do that. The thing is here is that money is actually not the point of all of this. The money is just a signal that I finally stopped swimming against my own design. And what changed was not my strategy or anything else. What changed was my identity. Most people stay stuck with manifestation because when it doesn't seem to work, the instinct is to just try harder, to push more visualizing, more journaling, more gratitude lists. And all of that is amazing, right? Because self-actualization is the key to your identity, but you might be asking yourself the wrong questions right now. So instead of pushing more, like, what do I want? What do I want to visualize? Why don't you have a look at the questions that you need to ask yourself to peel back those layers of conditioning and to find your true self underneath? You have been manifesting the whole time, I promise you, but you've been manifesting from a conditioned identity rather than your actual true one. So you were manifesting proof that you had to work hard to be worthy. Well, I certainly was anyway. And you were getting exactly that. So becoming your true self first is the real work. And then everything that you have on your manifestation to-do list and your morning routine, everything else just follows suit really, really well. And in some instances, you might not even have to put that much work into your manifestation. So I want you to try and stop wanting things harder. Stop performing alignment, right? People perform alignment, especially on social media. whilst privately feeling really disconnected from your life. One needs to stop measuring whether it's working by whether it has arrived or whether it hasn't arrived. You need to start measuring, as in from, the human design system, whether you are aligned or whether you are not aligned, whether you are conditioned or whether you are not conditioned. You don't need a better manifestation practice. You need permission to stop living from an identity that was never yours in the first place. So the question is not what you want to manifest, it's who you are when you stop performing the version of yourself that kept you safe. If manifestation really is all about identity, the next question becomes, whose identity have you actually been living? Most of us have inherited an identity before we ever had the chance to really actually choose from, because so much of our conditioning comes in between the ages of 0 and 7, from our parents, from society, from everyone else around us. And we have actually been manifesting from that identity ever since. So this work here with human design is exactly the work that I go deepest on with the woman that I work with. If you want to know more, there is a link below. And if you haven't discovered human design yet, then I invite you to lean into it a little bit more and take a look at the video that I've got here for you. If you're ready to stop manifesting from a conditioned identity and start working from your actual design, where you're actually supposed to, live in your true self, the next step is actually a business breakthrough reading with me. We can go into your human design chart together and map exactly how your energy, how your authority, your leadership, your strategy translate into the way that you run your life and that you run your business. Here's what one of my amazing clients said to me after she had a business breakthrough reading about manifestation. Here's the part that still gives me chills. Charlie told me that my voice had powerful manifestation energy, so I tried it. I spoke out loud about wanting to hire someone that I had dreamed of working with, even though I wasn't sure how it could happen. Within days, the opportunity aligned, the resources appeared, and I made it happen. The clarity and energetic shift that came directly from Charlie's insight was an absolute game changer for me. The link to book is in the description below, and I will see you on the next video.